What is up, RotoGrinders? 2 hours nonstop NBA DFS conversation. It starts right now. Big boy slate, not messing around because basketball was played yesterday. Shout out to the NBA Cup. Shout out to the Milwaukee Bucks for taking down OKC. The Thunder did not show up. They're not clutch, apparently, in the Cup. Just 3 games tomorrow, no games yesterday. We are loaded up tonight. 13 big boy slate on FanDuel. FanDuel is including the last 2, which DK is not. DK did cut off the last 2 games, so they're down to 11. Still plenty on DraftKings as well. No Denver, Portland, and no Lakers, Kings. Speaking of the Kings, we just got Sabonis ruled in. Murray ruled in, so we got that cleared up. Just got RJ Barrett ruled out for Toronto. Speaking of Toronto, speaking of FanDuel, you're going to want to lock Scotty Barnes if he plays basketball this evening. He's 3.5K on FanDuel. He's coming back from injury, and then he might not even play. Probably doesn't play, but if he does, you just absolutely have to hit the lock button. That's it. Not a conversation. He's 3.5, and there's no RJ Barrett. And even if he plays like 28 minutes or so, you got to play 100% Scotty Barnes. They just kind of goofed over there on FanDuel. Other body parts are monitoring. There's a lot going on, obviously. Chops Rockets. We have Şengün is questionable. Several other players are questionable for Houston that are important. Big one in New York, I suppose. I guess New York is in Minnesota. Their tight rotation. Josh Hart, midday downgrade, questionable, personal. Is he with the team? I don't know. You think somebody would know because they're on the road, and he's questionable. Also, the double revenge game, triple revenge in that game with DiVincenzo and Randall, and of course, Cat on the other side. New York taking on Minnesota. I think that's first blood. I think that's first blood revenge. Chopper, it is also a Fleet Thursday. You're still on the high of taking down, what was it, Television Tuesday? You've been 2 in a row.
Two in a row, brother.
Two in a row. You keep crushing the chat. Like, just you versus the chat, and you're first. Very, very impressive.
Well, I'm spanking the chat. There's some people saying I'm spanking the chat out there, man.
Some people are saying that. Let's see if we can keep that momentum going. This, I believe, unprecedented. This is your first attempt at Fleet Thursday. Is that correct?
This is my I think this might be my first Thursday NBA show of the year. I'm not sure, but yeah. So I wasn't even aware that there was only 3 games tomorrow. What a weird schedule, but I guess that's why I'm on Thursday. So yeah, it should be fun, Dean. Should be fun.
And there's like 14 on Sunday.
Aware, Chop. I thought you would be aware of what's since you meticulously map out all the schedule.
I didn't know there was a the cup thing for the NBA. That's like a fluid schedule. I did not know that one at the beginning of the season. I did not know that particular thing was throwing a monkey wrench into the schedule. But there's a lot going on right now. There's little college hoops, little college football, NBA, pro football Saturday, Sunday, tonight pro football. I got a show tonight, Dean. Too much, man. I'm overloaded. I got to get out of here.
It's who plays? It's Denver versus the Chargers. Is that right?
Correct. Yes, it's the game we're looking at tonight.
What time are you on later? Let the people know. 7:30, give or take.
7:15. About 30 minutes. We'll take you up to about 20 minutes before it kicks off, so you get all your stuff in, and you got to tune in for the show for that.
Mims,
I hope you're
Mims is the play.
What's the play?
I did Mims. I did the Mims last time he was on the slate, and I crushed him, man. Crushed him.
Yeah, good one. Run it back.
Let's go ahead and drop that first clue for the people. What's up, chat? Kindly hit that like button, do subscribe, do turn on notifications, do all those things. So if you can guess this on 1, congratulations. The first clue for Fleet, and you guys know Fleet is an athlete. That's what we're doing. Tell me what athlete we're talking about. Where do you answer this question? In the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord live stream chat channel. And the first person to guess correctly, no MMEing, just 1 guess per clue drop, gets yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey, golf, UFC, everything but NASCAR, essentially. Optimizer, articles, bells, whistles, SimLabs, all the goods. You get a week free. Or if you want, you can get scores and odds. I guess it's dealer's choice, however you want it. So go ahead and fire away and get your best guesses. Champion is our first clue. Champion is our first clue for Fleet Thursday. if some of these games are probably going to fly through. Again, there's 11 games, big boy slate.
Can you explain what Fleet Thursday is to me?
I just did. Where were you the last 2 minutes?
I wasn't. I was trying to get projections.
What do you think? Do you know? Are you aware of Movie Monday? Do you know what Movie Monday?
I've done a few movie Mondays with you.
Do you know about Television Tuesday?
No, I didn't know about Television Tuesday.
Okay, forget about that. But knowing what Movie Monday is, what do you think Fleet Thursday is?
I don't know. I don't. I don't know. That's why I asked.
Well, we're gonna have 5 clues being they're gonna be dropped throughout the show, and the people in the chat are gonna guess in our Discord channel which athlete we're talking about, and if you guess correctly, you get a week free of RG Premium. You feel free to play along in our private chat. You and Chop can play along and you can tell me, and I'll let you know. But don't vocalize it. If you know the answer, don't vocalize it. Don't ruin the game. We live in a society.
I will never get an answer because I will never listen to 5 freaking clues. But
so why did you even want the explanation? Why did we just
make sure I can just to confirm that I didn't need to be listening? That's all.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, Chop. A lot going on. A lot going on this slate. More news coming in. I'm sure we got the RJ Barrett news. I think projections have already changed. There's also a chance that Scotty Barnes is not going to play basketball tonight. Herter is available for Sacramento. That's kind of surprising. I thought he would be out. So they are basically fully healthy. They did downgrade Trey Lyles. Well, Trey Lyles is now questionable. I don't know how much that matters. Davion Mitchell also questionable for Toronto. Man, and of course they're without Pirtle as well. This game definitely smells of a tankathon. They're not going to bring Scotty Barnes back to this. They don't want Scotty Barnes on this team. They want to lose to Brooklyn, I think. I know it's early in the season, but that's what it smells like to me. Pirtle's a legit injury. The RJ Barrett thing, what is it, ill? I guess, maybe. But it smells like a game that neither one of these teams probably want to win. Big picture, Chop, what are we seeing as far as the slates? I know best we can do with a lot of questionable stuff out there. Porzingis is still questionable, another big name. Boston, they're on the slate. Like projections don't even acknowledge them, which is kind of weird. We should see the debut of Dennis Schroeder as well, probably starting there for Golden State. John Morant is officially questionable. I expect he plays. But, Chop, you got anything here, big picture-wise? I know it's a lot.
It's a lot, Dean. There's a lot to unpack on this slate. I guess my overview from 10,000 feet up in the air, I would say it looks like a good mid-range night to me. It looks like a good mid-range night. That's all I'm going to say, Dean. I'm feeling the mid-range players.
All right. Let's go ahead and dive in and go game by game. There's 3 games at 7 o'clock. Again, we're going all the way up to 10:30 or so on FanDuel, 9:30 on the East Coast on DK. It's Denver. Portland is 10 o'clock. And the Lakers in Sacramento, that's also 10 o'clock. But we're ignoring that one on DraftKings. Crunch time coming in about an hour plus. You got Taylor. The Taylors, both Taylors. TJ Zwarych as well. And who else is coming in? Oh, Kyle Murray. Kyle Murray is going to be here additionally.
The Taysom Hill of RotoGrinders, TJ.
There you go. He's definitely he's got a versatility to him. And if you need 1 yard, you can also hand the ball off to TJ, and I'm sure that'll work out spectacularly. Any event, let's go ahead. Let's dive in and break it down game by game. First one is a really good one. Utah, at least one side of it. Utah at Detroit, 227.5 is a total. Detroit is a 5-point favorite here, Chopper. The Pistons, they're missing some bodies, and they're facing Utah. Utah now has the worst defensive rating in all of basketball. We have, as far as the Jazz, Filipowski's out. We don't care. Not a big deal. Steve McCalloch's available. Who cares? Not a big deal. But there's no Tobias Harris. No, he's back. Tobias Harris is back. Jaden Ivey not officially ruled out, but he is doubtful. And also Beef Stew, Isaiah Stewart, is out as well. So, Jalen Duren looks really good. A lot of centers are going to look good today. So there's obviously an opportunity to cross that position. Probably rostering 2 today on your DK lineups. But Cunningham, to me, Chop, looks like one of the absolute, best plays on this slate. Utah is such a good matchup from multiple angles. Probably my favorite big spend. I wish this game was a little bit later. On the season, 1.4 FanDuel points per minute, 1.48 on DK when Ivy is out. Almost a 35% usage, just a monster number. Also, it's the number one DVA, defense versus archetype matchup against Utah as far as combo guards. So like everything is coming up Millhouse. Everything's coming up Cade Cunningham. Chop, are you on board? You just said you want kind of a build in the middle. You know, things can change obviously, but I'm doing my best to grab Cunningham, my main lineup tonight. Talking about Cade and the Pistons.
Yeah. Also, I'd like to throw in, Dean, that TJ is the Taysom Hill of DFS. In addition to the utility knife, it's also because all DFS players really despise him. So he's got that going for him.
I didn't know that.
Why would they despise him? I wasn't aware of this.
I don't. Yeah. Why would you dislike TJ?
Yeah.
What have you heard?
No. Yeah, because he's so good at DFS, the other players don't like him.
There you go. It's a good save.
There you go. All right.
You're all jealous.
So
he's in the chat. He's just hanging out, TJ. What did he do? Catching shrapnel.
Utah. Not a huge fan. Maybe I could get to some Walker Kessler, but you know, Utah's not really doing it for me. Like you said, the Detroit side's the side. Cade Cunningham looks like maybe the best play of the slate. You know, like triple-double potential is off the charts right now this year. In this matchup, it's off the charts. Like it's very tough for him not to get here and pay this thing off or have a big game. So Cunningham is there. Jalen Duran is cheap. You can go that route. Not too interested in Tobias Harris. The other guy in this game I'm keeping my eye on, which I kind of liked him when he was earlier in the day when it looked like maybe a little further under the radar, is Malik Beasley. I think it's a really, really good matchup for Beasley. The way he's just going to stand out there and shoot three-pointers from all over the court, wherever you want him to go and hit three-pointers, that's what he's going to do, and Utah's going to give it up from the three-point range. So, but now he's kind of gathering a little bit of steam, and so I don't know how that's going to work out. But Malik Beasley. But Cade Cunningham, like you said, in this game is the one where, yeah, if there's one guy tonight, right now, I think it's Cade.
Utah also the second. They got the second most triples, second most made threes to opponents. I believe they're top 5 or top 6 with both steals and blocks. They just bleed fantasy points. I thought you were going to mention Asar Thompson, who really got loose last game. They bumped his minutes up. They might push him back down in part because Harris is back. We're giving him 21 minutes. I think there's a chance he plays like 25, 26. So, and he's a good stocks guy as well. It's a huge slate, but I think he's interesting. And I guess there's an outside chance he starts. He probably doesn't, but keep an eye on that. We're projecting Cunningham, Beasley, Hardaway Jr., Harris, and Duran, who's just been terrible this year, but like he's really priced down and there's no beef steal behind him. So you think there's at least an opportunity there. Kirkwood, jump in here. If you want to give anybody the Jazz, like there's some teams you can just say no, because again, it's a huge slate. If you want to sell anybody the Jazz, by all means, sell them. You want to give any more thoughts when it comes to the Pistons? Do you want to double down? Is it across the board we all like Cade?
Love Cade. What's not to like about a triple-double? So especially with Ivy probably out again, and his minutes are just so secure. And I think that this game could be competitive. So yeah, he's every night he's one of the top studs of the slate. I'll reiterate the Beasley call. I think he probably starts in this matchup. And I mean, I don't even care if he doesn't, because he's going to come in and start chucking either way. You're either going to have a good game or a bad game if he hits threes or doesn't hit threes. The price that's sticking out to me is Markkanen. 6,700 on DK. Like, okay, he sucks so far this season, right? Like, he's definitely hasn't been great, but I know, and he's also been dealing with some like back stuff and lower back pain management and stuff like that, which is always scary. But a few days off here, and a matchup with Detroit could be good for him. So I think there's definitely ceiling there. It's risky, sure, of course. It's he's not the safest play, but how bad is he going to kill you for 6,700?
Yeah, the name and the price look good. It's just like you said, like the back's not been great. The usage hasn't been spectacular of late, and you don't really show if that's a correlation thing. And they've also been getting blown out. This game probably not a blowout, like you said. That's like can be, but Utah's pretty terrible. We haven't seen like an explosion game from him in a while, I guess. But I do agree with the thought process of just the name and the price is enough to. If you're going to force me to play somebody in Utah, it would be Markkinen. So let's see, James Brown in chat. What's up, James Brown? Asking about John Collins. John Collins love. I don't have any John Collins love at 7-4. No chance. Like, can he get there? I guess, but it doesn't seem necessary. Yeah. You guys love John Collins at 7-4? I do not. Chop does not either.
So like I say to you, give me a 6-7 Laurie Markkinen over a 7-4 John Collins.
Yeah. And if I play Markkinen, I'm probably playing two Pistons because I like Cunningham, I like Beasley, I like Duran, and I think Asar is kind of sort of somewhat interesting. Yeah, Lord King Gear was talking about the Scotty Barnes thing. Man, we don't have news just yet on Toronto, right? Nothing else came in as far as Barnes. We just got
I feel like he's going to play.
I think he won't, again, because I think that
Toronto, but I feel like they rushed him because they knew RJ Barrett was sick, and that this is like a swap. But I mean, this is just my little gut feel here.
I would just say that Toronto doesn't want to win. I don't think they want to win.
I think you say that. I don't know if that's the case. I think
literally Jakob Poeltl said, remember Jakob Poeltl at the start of the season said we're going to try to lose games, more or less. You remember that conversation?
At the start, okay. So how many games have they won? They've won games, have they not?
They're 7-20.
Yeah, they've won 7 games. So 7 times they've won.
Well, you have to. Even the Washington Generals beat the Globetrotters once. Maybe they haven't. I don't know. The Thunder take on the Magic, 210. That is not a very fun number. 210 is the total here. The Thunder coming off the shellacking there in Vegas hangover, whatever you want to call it. And they're traveling here now to Orlando. I think this is the lowest total on the board. Not very appealing. Yeah, I don't think I'm really playing anybody in this game as far as who's in and who's out. Nothing really new for OKC. Chet is still out. Orlando, nothing really new. Bencaro is still out. Franz Wagner, other brothers Wagner. But I'm making a certain number of lineups, and I don't think I'm playing anybody here. Do you want to give me an argument against it, Kirk? If you want to play SGA, by all means, he's spectacular. He's one of the best 5-6 players in the league, sure. But it's not something I'm forcing. OKC, Magic, what do you got?
He's got to have tanked his MVP line after that performance in the cup there. He looked awful.
Joker's still in the lead, pretty sure.
Yeah, no, I don't have much love for this game whatsoever. I mean, sure, SGA, if you want to play him, go ahead, but probably wouldn't. Bounce back, though. I mean, maybe he comes out hard.
The only guy that's getting any ownership at all for us is Mo Wagner, Moritz Wagner. 17% currently on DK, which is kind of surprising. Tough matchup against OKC, obviously. Both these teams are really tough on the inside. Both these teams are really just tough in general defensively. Chop, if you have nothing here, by all means, just tell us nothing. But I'm seeing a head nod, a head shake, a shimmy of some sort. Is that a no? No interest in OKC and Orlando? Are we just moving on?
I mean, I don't have much interest in it. It's a slow pace and 2 defensive-minded teams, and and I don't have much interest. The only thing I'll add to what you said about the whole Shai Gilgeous thing, Dean, was I saw this funny meme on Twitter. It was Shai Gilgeous, and the little caption said, Shai Gilgeous, when the referees don't give him 20 free throws a game, and it was Shai Gilgeous in a Burger King uniform with the headset on.
I saw that.
That was good. I like that one.
But come on, that's ridiculous. I guess memes are inherently like sarcastic sometimes or leaning in.
I got a great idea for one. If we get the Chop Strip Club versus the Chop Millie Maker winner and also holding the big check, that'd be a good one, I think.
We'll get the artist right on that. The last of these 7:00 games, the Hornets take on the Wizards, 226.5. That is the total here. Some lack of clarity for this game as well. We currently have Brandon Miller questionable. He's got an ankle. And as far as Washington, Bub Carrington, Carlton, he's available. Kuzma is still out with his he's got a rib, but otherwise he is good to go. Washington has a slew of players. Brogdon back as well. We're projecting him to start. Whatever. I mean, it's so weird. Just trade him already. It just doesn't make any sense in this team. But yeah, chop off throws to you. Charlotte and Washington. LaMelo probably still on somewhat of a minutes limit, right? He was really, really good last game in his per minute stuff, but I think they capped him at like 26, I want to say. I think we have him close to almost full. What do we have? 29, I want to say. Let's go ahead and pull it up. We have 30 for Ball. And if we happen to lose Miller, he would look really good, except, again, we're just giving him 30 minutes. Is it possible he can play more than 30 or 29? I guess, but maybe not. I know we have an if-then setup for. I think Bridges is the guy that would get a little bit more of a bump. But with the news right now, what we have, Chop, Washington, Charlotte, what do we got?
Well, I mean, I look at the Charlotte side, and obviously the guys that can really attack this defense are a Ball and Miller, but they're priced up to where, like, what am I going to do with that? Like, it's not very many scenarios I want to play LaMelo Ball tonight over Cade Cunningham. Look at the price tags on the two of them. But I will say that if you're in one of those large field GPPs, that could be a way you pivot out of there. But other than that, the other Charlotte guys aren't really jumping out to me. On the Washington side, I kind of think the price is too cheap here for Jordan Poole. But with that being said, not sure he's going to make one of my 3 lineups I'm running tonight, Dean, in mid-stakes, So I don't know he's going to make. But I do like the price tag, and I like the matchup for him. And the projection seems to agree with that. It's perfectly fine. I just don't know if I'm going to get to it. But that's the guy for Washington I could see playing. You're on mute, bro.
That's who I would play as well. And that's the ownership is showing 14% per pool. We got Koulibaly at 14% as well. He's sort of fine. Sarr at 10%. He's fine. Bridges at 10%. He would get a little bit more of a bump as well if we happen to lose Miller. We have an if-then set up, and only 31 minutes for Bridges. He's also coming back from injury not too long ago. Up 35, 34. FanDuel DK points on average is a median number. But yeah, it feels like a game that should be more interesting from a DFS perspective, but it isn't really that interesting unless, I guess, we lose Miller. I guess I like Bridges a little bit more, but I don't know if I'm going to force that. LaMelo, you got to figure he's capped to some degree. He could get there, I guess, in 31, 30. They push him a little bit, but what is their incentive to push him? But we do have the second clue that just dropped. Now we're getting some clarity. Now we know who it is for Fleet Thursday. Champion and defense. There you go. Chop, your first guess was Kawhi Leonard.
We don't even have a sport, right? It could be like any sport, right?
Any athlete, yeah.
Goodness gracious, man! That's
a lot of athletes. You'll get there. It'll come together.
And you should specify. Your fleet sounds like fleet, and so I was thinking fleet. Fleet. Yeah, fleet. Like someone in chat said, "What does Fred Van Fleet have to do with this?"
He'd be a great pick for the Fleet Thursday.
Yeah. Maybe it is.
Maybe it was today. Who knows? And we're just doing a diversion tactic because you just gave the answer away. Yeah. What do you have, Kirkwood? Charlotte, Washington. Are we getting enthused here?
On FanDuel, Brandon Miller's price is too low. I think he's
7K.
I think he's a pretty decent play, as long as he does play, obviously, which I think he is going to. I think maybe Miles Bridges on DK, but it's certainly not a priority. And then I kind of have like my GPP out there play a little bit. I think Sarr could be good. I don't think Williams or Richards are going to be chasing this guy or sticking him at the 3 line. So I think he's going to have the opportunity to hit some threes.
What is he shooting from 3 this year? I feel like it's terrible.
Doesn't that? He can hit him.
I know. I feel like he's been horrific there from 3. We don't care about misses, but just keep firing it up. But Wendy's Balls is guessing Muggsy Bogues, which is a funny guess. Like when you think of defense, you think of Muggsy Bogues. He was feisty for sure. And our boy Butto, our guy Butto is guessing still in the wrong chat and YouTube. Dennis Rodman. you want to get the Discord channel. Akeem Olajuwon was guest. Bobby
He
Orr.
likes to stay on the low, Butthole. He likes to. We've been down this road before, but I do enjoy seeing in chat like Butthole Jenkins next to Wendy's balls. It just shows how far we've come here at RotoGrinders.
Let's move on. 7:30. Chicago, Boston. Your Celtics, Kirkwood. 241 is a total we like. We love those kind of totals. The Celtics themselves, a team total close to 128, 127.5 to get precise and all technical. Big time favorites, almost 14-point favorites versus the Bulls. Giddey is questionable. He's legitimately hurt. If you watch that last game, he was limping off with with some assistants to the locker room. Several guys. In that game was a disaster. That was the game of Pirtle got hurt for me too. What a bad game for me. Who cares? It's DFS. We care about today and today only. Giddey is questionable. My guess he doesn't play, but we'll see. And Boston, they play their games. Porzingis is probably fine, but he's questionable. He's got a heel contusion. Xavier Tillman doesn't really matter, but he's questionable. Sam Hauser is questionable with a back. So Kirkwood, it's interesting. The Celtics aren't really projecting well. If we lose Porzingis, they might project better. There's probably a threat of a blowout to some degree also. I'm a little bit concerned I'm not playing Boston guys, and maybe I will. We'll see. How do you feel about Boston? And feel free to jump over to Chicago, which is interesting because before you go, we have an if then for Giddey being out. And even still, like Chicago's not jumping off the page they're all kind of sort of priced up as is. Dosunmu would get more minutes. Lonzo, how many minutes could he possibly play? It's just a bunch of nonsense. And it's weird that Giddey wouldn't really affect, they're all like kind of break-even plays. Levine, White, they're all fine. If Giddey's out, and they're not good right now if he's in. What do you got there? Ivy officially out, by the way.
All right. I mean, obviously, if the game stays tight, Tatum could nuke in this spot against the Bulls. Anyone could. So could Jalen. The only other, I would play that angle. I think they'll put up decent scores anyway. But, you could luck out if Boston plays down to the competition. This game stays close for a while. Only other player, it's just the blowout angle. Peyton Pritchard is just going to be out there with the second unit smashing and lighting it up from three, and maybe they'll let him run a little in the fourth quarter too. So FanDuel 6,100, it seems kind of tough, but I think you could make a case for that. And then over on DK at 5,900, the same. It's not a good play. It's just hoping that the game breaks right for him. But other than those plays, I don't really have much interest.
Chop?
Well, it's one of those games where it's easy to say it now, but Tatum or Brown, pick one, because one of them's going to have a good game here. And it's a coin flip. Don't know which one. Like what they do really well is what Boston is bad at. Is what Chicago is bad at, so just pick one of those two guys, and one of them's going to have a blow up spot. On the flip side, I could play Vooch in some GPP, large field GPPs. I don't love like a straight up center, like that against Boston. As far as I don't want to go overboard with him. I wouldn't play him in cash or nothing. But Dean, if I'm splitting hairs and I'm trying to find GPP options, Boston will smother you from the 3-point line. They're not going to give you anything out there. They got pretty good rim protection. They're not going to give you anything in there. The one thing they will allow is some inefficient post-ups. Well, that's what Vooch does, so there's a chance. And the track record against Boston, when you look at it, is pretty good. It kind of supports that a little bit, so maybe Vooch and GPPs.
Brooklyn taking on the Raptors. 219 is the total. Not very appealing. Toronto's a 4-point favorite here. They just ruled out RJ Barrett. Bruce Brown still not ready to come back. Pirtle's still out. Emmanuel Quickly is still out. Scotty Barnes is questionable. We haven't seen him in a bit. My guess is he doesn't play, but if he does, 100% without question, without a conversation, you lock him on FanDuel. Like, he might be 95% owned, and that's still too low because this isn't baseball where the best hitter in the world can be $0 and they can go for $5 and whatever. but like, he's going to get 28 points at worst, unless something really, really goofy happens. And then Brooklyn, who's in, who's out for Brooklyn? Well, Cam Thomas, of course, is still out. Tyler Williams still out. D'Anthony Melton not going to play. Schroeder traded away. They do have, I guess they called somebody up. They have 11. Reese Beekman is a name that I don't recognize. I'm guessing he was from the G League. But, Simmons running the point these days. They got this is the game they got absolutely destroyed last time, right? They lost like 40 or so. What a terrible franchise. Any event, Chop, Brooklyn, and Toronto. There's some if-then stuff, of course. But let's assume that Barnes is in and Barrett being out. I think we got a refresh to our projections. Did anybody get a significant boost? I'm checking that out now as I throw it to you, Chopper.
No, nobody got a boost, Dean. Nobody got a significant boost. I would say, with Barrett being out, you could play Scotty Barnes if he's in. You could play Scotty Barnes on DraftKings at 9,300. So that just, tells you just how much you have to lock him into FanDuel. But I think he's a play you could play on DraftKings tonight if he ends up playing. So the other guys, man, buddy, I've had enough of watching Mogbo. I don't want to. I can't do that no more.
I think his name is actually I think it's Mobo.
Yeah, something like
that. It's a silent G. But
what about Dick? You like Grady?
Gravy Dick? He's all right, man. Dude, I tell you what, the other night I rostered him and he absolutely he
could score.
He did something to somebody. Oh, Chicago, yeah.
He made a bunch of threes, yeah.
Yeah, he was all up in Chicago, man. The Dick was in Chicago, brother. He was doing it. He was doing the thing. But other than that, like Scotty Barnes, yeah, all right. For the Brooklyn side, Dean, I'm gonna say maybe a little Ben Simmons out here, 5,400 against Toronto. Not bad. Claxton can get his blocks. He can do his thing right there. The guy I'm most interested in isn't really popping that well in projections. It's Cam Johnson. I actually like Cam Johnson tonight. So that's where I'm at with that one, Dean.
Noting about Simmons, he played 31 minutes last game, which is, I don't know how real that is. It was also a massive blowout.
Well, it wasn't imaginary, brother.
Well, I mean, I don't know how real that is going forward. Is that something we can project going forward? Because I don't think he played more than 27 the entire season until he plays 31 in a blowout.
They don't have any other they have no other answer at this point.
Well, I mean, the question isn't like, how do we win? They're not trying to win. They're trying to get rid of it.
Maybe you think these guys are actively trying right now? They're not. They're just trying to play some ball. They know they're going to lose anyway. Like these bad teams.
Maybe
they're not like here. Like they're not like pinpointing the schedule.
Maybe they're trying to showcase him, and he's the next one out.
I love the showcasing. There's some GMs out there like, who's this Ben Simmons guy? I never heard of him.
Dean, you don't know. You don't think that like the recency bias gets people like, oh my God, he's hot. Look at those numbers the last 30 days, man. It
gets the dope on Twitter. It shouldn't get
There's so many dopes who run franchises.
That's the best point. That is a good point because that's probably true. That's probably
buffoons, absolute buffoons. It makes you wonder where they get their how did they luck out to get
the
their
guy
money?
Turned down a trade, Dean, because of a Madden rating. Come on,
is that real? Was that a real story?
Yes, I 100% believe that's real.
Ball Stack Sports, first to report.
I saw that and I didn't fully dive in, but I'm like, wait a second. Like how does he even know what he plays Madden? How does he know his Madden rating? Like,
his two sons.
You know what I thought was interesting? Did you see when Arenado turned down he activated the no trade to Houston? I wonder what the thought process was there.
Arenado does want to play in Houston?
Yeah, I wonder why. Like, I think that'd be a pretty good spot for him.
I mean, I heard
it wasn't, boxes would be good for him.
It wasn't. I heard. Yeah, I mean, he needs a change of scenery. St. Louis has not been kind to that kid, but
yeah.
I heard it's just early.
Gets everybody. That place is a death to your career.
Ever since McGuire tainted it with the roids back in the 90s.
Absolutely. Because he was denying it, and that
he still denies it. He's still crazy.
Sammy Sosa released a comment today. Did you guys see that? Like, I don't know who was asking for Sammy Sosa.
He has the pigmentation, right? He He's got his face is white now, kind of.
Well, I think that's unrelated to what he might have done while he played.
No, that's something he did afterwards. Yeah.
I don't know what happened there, but like he basically made like a vague sort of like, I may have took something, but he didn't say what he actually took. I don't think I saw the quote, but it was strange.
It was creatine.
Oh, here. There were times I did whatever I could to recover from injuries in an effort to keep my strength up to perform over 162 games. I never broke any laws, but in hindsight, I made mistakes and I apologize. Like, I don't know where this came from, or he had a press conference, or just randomly just sent out a fax. I'm not sure, but that was there you go. Remember he had the bat that was juiced, not just his body, but the bat. But the marbles, he broke his bat and like it splintered. And what do you put in the bat that makes the ball bounce off like it's rough? You know what I'm talking about?
Didn't George Brett do something like that too? And then that's
no, you're thinking of the Pine incident when he got the home run taken away versus the Yankees, which is probably ridiculous. Yeah, cork. Thank you, Puppet Master. I couldn't think of the word for some reason. Yeah. But he said, yeah, I only use those for batting practice because I like to show off with the fans and show up early. And I use my batting practice bat by accident.
That makes sense.
It's a great excuse.
No, good.
And I take Andro and creatine. It's all good.
We don't have time to get into it, but one of the greatest stories when it comes to that was Albert Bell, or I think he was Albert at the time. I'm not sure it was Joey or out. When Albert Bell had his bat taken away, they put it like in the umpire's room to be investigated later. And one of his teammates, they knew it was shady. So one of his teammates like climbed up in like the rafters and through the ceiling and snuck back down like Mission Impossible style to steal the bat before they had a chance to investigate it.
Yeah, Grady Sizemore.
Is that who it was? Yeah.
No, I don't know. I just do that.
And then that's how he became a manager. He's got managerial skills. He's a leader. But yeah, it's one of those wild stories that are out there. Watford, by the way, is out for Brooklyn, if anybody cares. We should go ahead and drop the third clue. This is where it gets spicy. This is where all of a sudden you guys can get, you can get some legit guesses, I think. Third clue is Bird. And Kirkwood's on the show too from Boston. Champion defense Bird. Those are the three clues. Go ahead and get your clues into the Discord channel. Let's go ahead and move on from Charlotte and Washington.
Is it Kawhi?
What?
Is it Kawhi Leonard?
I mean, you must have missed when I was explaining we live in a society, and if you knew the answer, type it in. Let's try to keep it private, but it's not, for the record. It's not Kawhi Leonard. Let's talk about the Pels. The Pels and the Rockets. Chops Rockets, 217.5 is the total. 10-point favorite here as far as Houston. We have some body parts up in the air for the Rockets. Multiple players are questionable. Well, Steven Adams questionable, doesn't matter, but the big ones are Şengün is questionable and Tari Eason is questionable. As far as New Orleans, we know Brandon Ingram's still out, no Alvarado. Hawkins is available for what it's worth. Did I mention Zion? Of course, Zion is not playing basketball. Yeah, Chop, I'll let you talk about your Rockets here. 217.5 is the total. Pretty big favorites here against the Pels. We don't know about Şengün. My guess is he plays. But we'll see. Stay tuned. If Şengün doesn't play, I guess it's Amen Thompson season. He's the guy that's just versatile enough to just jump right in and play basically any spot for Houston. And Tari Eason is also questionable. What do you have here, Chopper?
Houston and New Orleans. New Orleans doesn't really – they're starting to get a little bit healthier, so they're not really jumping off the page to me. By the way, Dean, can you take a look at my guess? I know it's not right, but I think I have I think I have something in my head that I didn't guess.
That is not correct, but I see what you're doing.
I think an epiphany came to me after that, but I can only guess one time.
Well, you can fire away as much as you want, as long as it's private. Yeah, it's fine.
So New Orleans is not really jumping off the page to me. For the Rockets, I think for the price tag, that's a pretty good projection on Tari Eason. I can see that happening. I think Şengün will play. I think everybody will play here tonight. If not, then we can adjust later. I'm assuming everybody plays like that, and if he does. Okay, so if he's out, I'll lock Jalen Green in. Like, that's a lock button. He's got the skill set to take advantage of this defense. So does Şengün. So that's what kind of makes me flip a coin between the two of them right now. But if one of them is gone, the other one will exploit this weak inside in the middle there for New Orleans. So
Şengün is going to roast Misi, roast him.
And not just that, but Jalen Green he's at his best when he's downhill getting to the basket and they don't have the rim protection to really stop him from doing that. So to keep him out of there. So, we'll see if that happens. But I like those two guys. One of them, I say it all the time, flip a coin on those two, but actually it's more Şengün. It's swayed more towards Şengün most nights, but tonight I think maybe a Jalen Green night.
New Orleans, if Chicago did not exist, New Orleans would be the worst team as far as yielding points in the paint. The Bulls give up, 4 more than basically everybody else. I was going to point that out. I always point that out with the Bulls, but, Boston just fires away from the outside, so they're not the kind of team that necessarily takes advantage of it. Of course, if like Brown or Tatum slashes to the basket, should be pretty easy to get home. Kirkwood, what do you got? I think Şengün is an awesome tournament play.
Chop, who were you saying that was if somebody doesn't play that Jalen would be a great play?
They said Şengün's questionable.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Because you said you also like Şengün. I thought I missed a different person. But, I echo the same exact thoughts. I wish Tari Eason would be healthy and get a lot of minutes, but I can't see that happening in this one. Just the same guys that Chop likes.
Okay. I'm trying to see what we have as far as ownership when it comes to this game.
I like Misi. I don't mind Misi for the price tonight.
It's a pretty fair price on DK at 5.5. He projects pretty well too. Chance he gets in foul trouble wouldn't surprise me. FEV, we mentioned his name earlier. I like Freddie VanVleet. I'm probably going to play a rocket on every team. So I feel like somebody gets home, even if the game blows out. Don't want to play Dylan Brooks, but if I land on him, so be it, whatever. And Eason's another guy that would benefit, I think, if Şengün doesn't go. Do we have an if-then setup? I think our if-then is set up for multiple guys, right? And that's just sort of tricky. Yeah, our if-then is if Eason and Şengün are out. And if they're both out, Amen looks amazing. Freddie looks really good. Green looks really good. Yeah. But just stay tuned, obviously, on the Rockets. 8 o'clock. So maybe we get news before lock, maybe not. Let's move on. Before we do that, I will drop the fourth clue. I guess producer Steve will drop the fourth clue. I don't think we have a guest just yet. It's not Bill Russell. It's not Reggie White or Ray Lewis or Randy Johnson or Magic Johnson or any Johnson for that matter. It's not Birdman Chris Anderson. I see what you're doing there, though, Gray Bill. The fourth clue, we'll go ahead and drop it now. I believe it is scrolling as we speak. It is Lachey. Lachey is the fourth clue.
Nick Lachey?
Lachey is the clue. Lachey. Champion, defense, bird, Lachey. That is our fourth clue. Okay.
It is not scrolling, and I'm going to need to see the spelling on that.
It's going to scroll in a second. There it is. It's up there. It's Lachey. And then, it'll all make sense. It'll all make sense.
Yeah, 98 degrees.
Maybe
Jessica Simpson.
He had a reality show on MTV once upon a time from Cincinnati, I believe. I don't know if that matters or not. Let's talk about
Dean. Timeout, Dean. I'm gonna put a guess in our private chat real quick. Tell me if I'm right, please. Come on now, I got it, Dean. Come on, this is it.
No, that's not it.
Oh my God,
that's not it. That's really clever, but it's not it. It's really a good guess though.
Well, that's a great guess.
It fits the clues, but it's not it.
Scotty Barnes available, Dean.
Oh boy! Wow.
Somebody else called that when you said no. But...
You were correct. Yes, you were right. So again, if you're playing on FanDuel, do not get cute. Do not what if? Just 100%. 100%. It's almost, again, he might be 98% owned, and that's 2% too low. You absolutely must play Scotty Barnes on FanDuel. You have to.
What if he what are the odds of him rolling his ankle in the first drive?
Or he's a late scratch.
Wow, Don Yeezy really calling out Chop. Chop has been getting extremely cocky on these guesses. Wow.
I thought I had it, Dean. Nick Foles. Boom, Bird.
It was a great guess.
Jug Nation. That's the VP of Jug Nation.
It doesn't really work with defense. Doesn't really work with defense.
But sometimes you throw a really weird clue in there that has no bearing anyway. So I thought maybe it was something else.
I like how somebody's guessing Sean Johnson. I just said that there's no Johnsons. I think you're just like playing on that. Well done. Well played there. Reet. Okay. Next game. It is Golden State. Golden State taking on Memphis. 236.5 is the total. It's high. It's tight. But it's two teams that play a lot of guys, and they don't really play their stars full max minutes, right? Grizz are 3-point favorites here. Ja's officially questionable. I will be very surprised if he did not play basketball tonight. I very much expect Ja to go. Pulling up the injury report, Golden State, they're clean. Memphis, GG Jackson's out. Huff is out. Marcus Smart is doubtful, but again, they have so many bodies, doesn't really matter. Vince Williams, have you seen him this year? I'm not sure if we have. And again, Ja questionable. We're assuming he's in. We're expecting the debut from the Demolition Man, Dennis Schroeder. We're expecting him to start. Not guaranteed, but who knows? Curry, Schroeder, Wiggins, Kuminga, Looney, Ja, Bain, Wells, Triple J, and Clark on the other side. This is a tricky one, Chop. I don't think Schroeder helps anybody on Golden State. He's certainly going to take away. Not that you're going to play something like Pods in the slate, but you definitely don't play him tonight. He would hurt someone like Hield as well. But yeah, how we feeling? It just feels like a game that's better to watch. And DFS Triple J projects pretty well, but again, 30 minutes, maybe get 30 minutes out of him. Bane, we're waiting for him to do Bane things. Hasn't quite been there this season. But yeah, Chop, how do you feel about the Warriors and the Grizz?
Do not like anybody on the Warriors. Will not be touching the Warriors on this particular slate. So that's off the table for me. And as far as Memphis is concerned, we're putting a pretty nice projection on Zach Edey. So you can't ignore that 4,300. Ja's going to get a pretty nice run here in this game. I think my favorite player from this game, though, is Jaren Jackson Jr., Triple J. That's my guy for this game. So that's where I stand on that one.
I saw Edey projecting pretty well, and I know they played Golden State earlier this year, and this doesn't feel like a guy that would thrive in this kind of atmosphere against the Warriors, but he did play pretty good against them, for what it's worth, in that one game.
I think he's got some things that could give them problems. He's got a type of game that can give them problems. I think he can rebound against them pretty well. And I think he's so tall, that little in the paint short jump hook he's got could be very effective against that team. So I can see why he had a big game and why I would like him tonight. Yeah.
He was also 2 for 2 from 3, which is, not something that's repeatable necessarily. He did put up 30 DK points. He played 23 minutes and change. Kirkwood, your thoughts as far as the Grizz and the Warriors?
Yeah, Triple J, best play in my opinion. Ja is playable at ownership because no one's going to want to play him with he only needs 30 minutes, and he can certainly get that. And with him being banged up a little bit, people may not want to play him, so I like that. And I guess you can always play Curry at absolutely zero owners. He's going to be 5% owned max on FanDuel. What's he going to be on DK?
He's not going to be playing, yeah.
Yeah, you can always play that. The game has got a monster total, but I'm going to be interested to see how Schroeder impacts the other players tonight.
Not positively.
Well,
right? He's not going to help anybody.
Yeah.
And he's at 6K, so you can't play.
I don't think Kuminga would matter at all. So, and his price is cheap. It's just the matchup is tough, but he could theoretically be a decent play. But
yeah, I think I'm not there. I wouldn't play him either, and maybe he plays 25 minutes or something like that. Just he needs a price adjustment.
So considering that you would be shocked if Scotty Barnes did play, and you would be shocked.
I said shocked. I said I don't think he's going to play.
You would be shocked if Ja Morant doesn't play.
I would be shocked if Morant doesn't play. Yes.
Should we talk about what if Ja doesn't play?
Do we have an if then even set up for it? He's going to play. I suppose it's possible. I don't think we have an if then. Did you have a thought of? You know what? I didn't even think about it because I was like, well, he's going to play.
Well,
that's where I was.
It would be Scotty probably.
He's 4K. Yeah, Pippen. I mean, everybody would get bumped up. Like Bane would get a bump, and Triple J would get a bump as far as their rates. I was thinking for Ja, like maybe they push him a little bit. Maybe he plays 32-33, just because it's a big game against the Warriors, theoretically.
Yeah.
It's probably on national TV. I meant to see with the national TV games.
If he's rolling. Also, I guess Edie has some beef with Draymond a little bit.
Does he already?
Yeah, he said Draymond talks too much. It was like yaps at him too much.
By the way, OKC Orlando is the first half of the TNT doubleheader. Second half is New York and Minnesota. That one makes sense. The double revenge, the triple revenge, which we will get to momentarily. Don Nelson being guest in chat. David Robinson, Hellebuck, the goalie. Let's go ahead and give the fifth clue. If we need a sixth clue, I have one on hand. I think it's going to get us home though. We'll see. Get your fingers ready. Champion, defense, Bird, Lachey, and clue number 5. Clue number 5 is Top Gun. Don't give anything away, Kirkwood.
You know what? I know nothing about Top Gun.
Well, you gave away clues for the last one. It's what I was basically pointing at. You were saying some things. Some people may have picked up on, some people may not have. But Top Gun is the last clue.
So I was on the right. I was on the right.
You
path.
said something that was relevant. That's all. That's all. Not intentionally. It just sort of worked out that way. But Top Gun is our last. It's our last clue. And we have one more if necessary. One more.
Yeah, this is an old age game that people are saying in chat. You gotta make it more kid friendly.
It means. I mean, if you're like 5 years old watching the show, you're probably not gonna. I don't know why. Hi, I don't know why you're watching it, but you're probably not going to get it. You're probably not going to get home. Okay, let's talk about the Hawks and the Spurs. 234 is the total. The Spurs are 1-point favorites here, so this game is high. This game is tight. Who's in? Who's out for Atlanta and San Antonio? Let's go ahead and check out the injury report. San Antonio is pretty clean, right? Zach Collins is questionable. Doesn't really matter because Wemby is good to go. Big body Keldon Johnson, good to go as well. He is probable. Trey Jones, also probable. Atlanta, I believe they lost Buffkin for the season, if I'm not mistaken. Was that the guy who lost for the season? I think it was Buffkin. Okongwu's out, which is interesting because maybe that unleashes some Larry Nance. Larry Nance, a 3K cheapie, and also power forward / center eligibility. That matters as well. So no Okongwu.
Did I get it, Dean? Did I get it?
You did.
Baby. Who's the
There you go, Chopper.
I'm smoking the chat, guy. I love the chat, but man,
somebody had that in chat too.
Oh, okay, my bad.
It really is impressive, Chop. Like you're taking you remember there was a game show once. There was a game show called 1 versus 100. This is like Chop versus 100, or like more than 100.
I like
There's hundreds hanging out in chat. There's more on hanging out and then watching us on Twitter.
Chris Longo.
Yeah.
I think he had it.
Too bad they're not in Discord.
Kirkwood, could you?
We tell them every day.
Why are you actively trying to ruin the game, Kirkwood? How many times do I have to warn you? We have to mute your mic. Jeez. Yeah. So get your answers in Discord. Only Discord questions are official, but there you go. Yeah, it's not Candace Parker or Victor Cruz or Asia Wilson or Dirk. Several people guessed Dirk Diggler, Dirk Nowitzki, but we have some people typing, and we'll get there. I suppose we'll get there in a second, but somebody's going to get themselves a week free of RG Premium. But yes,
sir, I got an urgent message I got to give to the people right now. The Roop Opto is in, so I want to get this out there. He's been crushing it lately. The Roop Opto, now take it with a grain of salt. This man recently just got arrested at a drug park. However, he's been hot, and his Roop play of the night is Tyrese Halliburton, 8,400 at Phoenix. His salary saver is a chalky one, but Quentin Grimes, and his fade of the night is Nisi. I just want to get those out for Roop.
All right, I'm glad we got it. What do you want to tell me about the Hawks and the Spurs, Kirkwood?
I mean, yes to Wemby for sure. The Hawks, maybe Jalen Johnson picks up few more minutes. I mean, we don't know. It's possible Larry Nance slots into Okongwu's role, but it's also positive. It's also possible he doesn't even play. It's like and Jalen Johnson, he's been great anyway, but he could pick up a few extra minutes potentially.
At the five.
Yep. And I love Wemby. That's it.
Wemby is my second favorite big spend on the slates. I talked about Kane earlier. I love Wemby as well. Just an awesome matchup for him. Atlanta gives up a ton of threes. Wemby's hitting 3 threes a game. They're also a great matchup for stocks, for steals and blocks. When Wemby gets there, when he fully gets there, it's when he has an outlier stocks game. Atlanta is bottom 5, bottom 6 in both giving up steals and blocks. And, of course, Wemby getting 3.5 blocks per game. So I think he is awesome tonight. I can't believe how low he is as far as our ownership. I hope that is correct or close to correct. We currently have him at 7.5% on DK, but, this stuff is fluid. The closer we get to lock, the more refined it gets, more information coming in, yada, yada, yada. But to me, Wemby is amazing. Chop, Spurs, Hawks.
Did we
We lost Brandon Miller, by the way.
yeah, did we we lost Brandon Miller, man.
And Sam Hauser, Porzingis in.
Okay. We'll circle back on Brandon Miller if we got time. But Wembanyama, obviously great play. Sochan, I think, is fine. Not into the Chris Paul thing this year. Vassell, I think, is underpriced. I think that's a route I would go in one of my 3 lineups, just to, because I think he is underpriced right there. It's just a good matchup for him altogether. And then on the flip side, if you're into now Brandon Miller's out, so I'm going to play some LaMelo Ball, and I want to put him with Kate Cunningham. I absolutely need salary, Dean. I have to have salary. 3,200 Larry Nance you could do worse than 3,200 Larry Nance, I think. So
also, again, you got Barnes on FanDuel. If you're playing on FanDuel, you got Barnes at 3,500. We can't worry about FanDuel. We got to put that one. I'm not even going to play on FanDuel. That's too much. I mean, that's 8. There's a slight edge. Most people again. I guess it's a good.
I don't see it being an edge.
He's not going to be 100% owned.
Yeah, but even then, the lineups that don't play Scotty Barnes were the lineups that were already dead before the contest even started. Those people didn't set their lineup or something like that. But so Nance, Jalen Johnson is a guy I kind of liked, and I don't know the ownership on him right now. I haven't refreshed, but I don't think anybody will play Jalen Johnson. I think it's kind of on the higher end of mid-range, but a pretty fair price tag for him. And I know a lot of people got love for Clint Capella, but I don't like that route. But I think Jalen Johnson not too shabby either.
I like the Capella price. You like Capella or Misi? Misi's 5.5.
What's Capella going to do to Wemby when Wemby just puts his arm up over in the first time anyone could do that to Capella?
I mean, he's still going to get his layups. They're still going to get the PNR stuff. I know Wemby's is ridiculously the arms and all that, but
Inspector Gadget.
He's so good. It really is unfair how tall he is to some degree. But he's amazing, and he hits his threes. And he's hit more threes this year, obviously. And again, Atlanta bombs away against Atlanta. They give up so many threes. I believe we have a winner in Discord, and this is a winner earlier this week. Gregorius the Wise, so they're going to be gifting it to somebody else, which is always kind. We like seeing that. They're going to be gifting it to HW13. If they're lurking, if they're around, get yourself a week free of RG Premium. This is the time of year. It's always the time. It's always the time to be in a giving mood. Very kind of Gregorius the Wise. Should we give the rundown as far as how we got to? Oh, Chop, you can actually you can tell the people how you got the answer. I mean, champion. Obviously, there's no help there. Just kind of build in the person. But shout out to Chop for getting it before everybody else. But do you want to take me through the clues and how you figured it out before?
Champion didn't do nothing for me. All right, so Champion didn't do nothing for me. Defense, it's still any sport, so I was like, what the hell? No. Bird, okay. Now we're thinking, is that a team mascot? We're doing that kind of a thing. Does it have something to do with the guy's name? Lachey, then you threw me off because I was thinking, okay, that's got to be a reference for Nick. It's got to be a guy named Nick. That working for me. But then when you did Top Gun, I was like, that's either a reference to Maverick or Goose. And I was thinking Maverick players, and what that fit those other clues. That didn't work. But then Goose, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. He was a Super Bowl champion, Ravens, played defense. That pits the defense, does the bird thing. So I guess Saragusa, I still don't know what Lachey has to do with it, to be honest with you. So every once in a while, you'll give a clue, and I don't know what a clue
It's going to make I'll tell you. Saragusa, his number was 98.
Oh, man, that's way off. But I get it. Okay.
Yeah, he wore number 98, so 98 degrees. And the bird clue worked two different ways, right? Because he played for a bird team, the Ravens, and his nickname is Goose. So bird worked times two.
Now, when you made the clue up earlier in the day, were you thinking Ravens or were you thinking Goose the bird?
I was thinking both, and I was like, and then when I landed on both, I'm like, oh, that works. I go, is there a way I can get like a double whammy? But there you go. I was going to reference he was in some movies. He was in The Sopranos for a few episodes. He was an analyst. He was in 25th Hour, which is a really good movie most people haven't seen. Kirkwood, our guy, Philip Seymour Hoffman, 25th Hour.
25th Hour was incredible.
Edward Norton, spectacular movie.
Crazy, it's crazy. Great movie.
Also, Logan Roy's in that too, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure Logan Roy's the dad. Is from Succession. Atlanta and the Spurs, we're done. We're done with the Spurs in Atlanta, I believe. Correct? Yes. Moving on. Let's do it. Clippers and Dallas. 223 is the total. This is a tricky one, right? Because we don't have full clarity on Dallas. That's 8:30. It's an hour and a half after the slate locks. We do know some things. We know Luka's not playing, and that's a big deal. Luka is out for Dallas, but Kyrie is also questionable. He's questionable. A matchup against Harden. I think he's going to play. I think Kyrie's going to play, and we know he projects well. In the absence of Luka, his price is kind of up there, though, so it's not like a full lock and load. As far as the Clippers, there's a chance they get DJJ back today. Derek Jones Jr. is questionable. We mentioned Kawhi earlier for whatever reason. He's, of course, still out. PJ Tucker is still out. Terrence Mann. Did you know PJ Tucker was in the Clippers? Yeah. I don't think he's played a second for him this season. Yeah, Chop, this one feels like we should be hammering Kyrie. Frank's brother, Quentin Grimes, looks all right. Grimey. He's probably the guy that jumps in and gets the start here in the absence of Luka. Lively's been playing more minutes than Gafford, significantly outplaying. Matchup against the Clippers, not great, but sure, he's interesting, I suppose. Clay, if you want to fire those threes. Yeah, and Dinwiddie, I guess, is kind of an interesting cheapie if you want to tell a story. And I think we have an if-then if Kyrie sits, and that obviously things would really get funky. And this comes down to Chop like lineup construction and how much spots are you saving in case Kyrie doesn't go. And again, sometimes I feel like I know better. I think Kyrie's just playing. But your thoughts? So
I'll start off with the Clippers. I mean, I think you could do worse than James Harden and Zubac, but I won't be playing them tonight. Not enough roster spots to do that. 150, sure. 3 lineups, I can't. But I think they're fine plays. Kyrie, I'm going to treat it as if he's playing, and I'll be over the field for sure. I might lock him in. 8,200 for a Kyrie without Luka in a pretty good matchup. Just underpriced for him. So assuming we get the green light on him, I'll have him in the lineups, and I'll just pivot if he gets ruled out. We still got 2 games after this that we can redo those rosters entirely. So I'm locking Kyrie in probably at 8,200 with no Luka. He's going to be projected for a monster score, and as well he should be. So I'm on that one. Yeah, Lively's fine. I mean, I'm not doing the Klay Thompson thing.
No,
but if you want to, fine. And then anything else we can adjust after. If Kyrie get ruled out, we'll adjust it after that. We can't do it on the show, but Kyrie's the one guy in this game, and not only the one guy in this game, he's up there with Cade Cunningham as in terms of top plays on the slate period.
That's my issue, Chomp, is I like Cade more, but I'm not going to tell you not to play Kyrie. But I like Cade more as things stand right now. If we do happen to lose Kyrie, or if then, obviously Luka, Kyrie both being out, Spencer Dinwiddie would be an awesome play. He would project great, like 34 DK, 33 FanDuel. We just don't know if we get that news, and we're not
Remember when Dinwiddie did the whole? He's all into the whole Bitcoin NFT.
Bitcoin. That dude's
crypto
rich now.
Yeah, but he at that one time, way back like 5-6 years before that first massive he tried to give us a piece of his contract. Remember that, Dean?
There were some players that would get paid in Bitcoin. I thought that was an NFL thing.
No. I'm talking about he's very sharp. Dinwiddie is financially very literate.
What did he try to do? I don't recall.
He before that first contract, he was like, "You invest in me." He was like, "Invest in me," and then when my contract comes up, you'll get paid X amount times what you invested in me. It was really sharp on his part. It was like, you give me a loan right now, and when I get if my contract exceeds this amount, that's you're going to be making money on this investment, and I'm making money because I'm getting the money now instead of waiting 3 years down the road for my. It was really you got to Google it, but
I don't recall.
But then the NBA blocked. Then the Players Association blocked it and said, "No dice. You can't do that, man." But it was a sharp thing. But I was looking forward to it.
Wasn't some NFL players paid in Bitcoin? Am I wrong?
Yes, that offensive lineman Russell
Dinwiddie was paid in Bitcoin too, right?
I don't know, but I know for sure publicly. I think it was Russell Okung that was some offensive lineman.
The offensive lineman for Seattle many years ago.
Yeah, he was. He said, "Give me half my thing in Bitcoin," and he's probably rolling.
I didn't know the goose died. Crazy.
I think
a couple of years ago.
I think Dinwiddie and Odell actually both did get some of their contract in Bitcoin.
Yeah, I know he was the first in the NBA.
Yeah, Dinwiddie, and I think Odell did too. Maybe someone in the NFL.
Jason saying OBJ in chat. So if you're probably both onto something. I don't recall, but I assume this is correct. Ownership wise, what do you got?
So I just Googled it. So he's big into Bitcoin, but what he did is he tried to propose turning his contract into digital tokens and selling them. Very similar to Fart Dust Coin. Have you ever seen that?
I don't know what that is. I didn't Google. I didn't think to investigate it, but I know it's a thing.
What a time! We have a friend in our secret chat who's just killing it. The guy's a multi-millionaire now from investing in all these tokens and coins.
The Fart coin or other coins?
Yeah, Fart coin is huge. It had the highest run up.
The Haktua?
No, he wasn't involved in the Haktua.
All right.
Maybe he was. We don't know that.
Only the reputable ones, like the Fart Dust coin.
Sounds reputable. We have Grimes at 25%, Kyrie at 25%, Powell at 15 on the other side. Yeah, basically nobody on the Clippers really getting a ton of ownership. Harden's not going to get played. Doesn't mean you can't play him. But, okay, we have crunch time coming in about 2 minutes. Not 2 minutes, about 5 minutes. And we have 2 games. So we got to knock these out. They'll talk about the FanDuel stuff. There's some stars, but nobody really jumping off the table, I don't think projection-wise. Of course, you can always play Joker, Sabonis, Anthony Davis. I think LeBron is questionable still, if I'm not mistaken, unless that's been updated. But I'm pretty sure he's questionable, and that game is late. Last 2 games here, as far as the DK slate, Pacers, Suns, 235.5 is the total, and the Suns are 6-point favorites here. Who's in, who's out? Bradley Beal available, so Phoenix fully healthy. We're not counting, Colin Gillespie and Ty Washington. Indiana, Shepard is questionable. Neesmith is out. But, basically their guys are good to go as well. I don't have a lot of this game, Kirkwood. Pacers, Suns, what do you got?
Yeah, there's not much to like. We've already given out the Tyrese Halliburton, Roop Opto play of the day. And he's probably the only guy I see with upside here in this matchup. So, yeah, there's not a lot to like. On the Phoenix side, it's probably even worse. But let's see here. Yeah, I mean, Durant projects the best. Could be a good spot for Durant. 9K. That's doable. I don't mind. I think that's pretty interesting if you surround that with value like Halliburton and Durant. If you want to do a little.
But if you have one big spend, it's not going to be Durant. You know what I mean? I don't think.
Yeah, but he should be up there. He should be up. He's going to be so low owned.
He is.
like under 10% for him, and he could go off in this matchup. If I had one spend, no, I'm not going to take him. But we most people play more than one lineup, so I think you should definitely consider.
Chop, you're playing 3 lineups. Are you likely to have anybody in this game in your 3 lineups?
No, but these guys are all good players, and they're all good fantasy players. But their prices are appropriate, and it's just an unexciting atmosphere game. Like, so no, they won't. I don't think I'll have a single player from this game, but they're all fine. You just, and any one of them, there's like 4 guys in this game that could be on the opto at the end of the night. I just don't see myself getting it to them. But you know what? I'm a sheep when it comes to NBA, right? I'm going to follow the crowd and not play this game, even though you probably should.
I want to see if anybody projects. I want to circle back on the Charlotte stuff with Miller.
Bridges.
What's that?
Bridges is like a top play now.
Yeah, the LaMelo thing is like, it's just like this doesn't affect his minutes. Like, will they let him play 33? I don't know. Probably not. Can he get there in 30, 31?
His usage is going to be like 40+%. Yeah. So yes, he can get there in 30 minutes.
Yeah, I mean he's got to be Cunningham. He's got to be Kyrie. Right? So I shouldn't say he has to, but probably. It certainly would help. One more game. We got TJ and Taylor in the bullpen, as well as Kyle coming in shortly for crunch time. Last game in the DK slate. Let's knock this one out, boys. Yeah, it is the revenge game. I'm sure producer Steve is super excited about his Knicks taking on the T-Wolves. I think this is first blood, first time Randall taking on his former team. There you go, right on you. As well as Dante DiVincenzo. Kat, who's been awesome of late, who's playing a ridiculous amount of minutes. This is the other one. Josh Hart being questionable. Miles McBride is, 3.8? I presume he would jump in the starting lineup. And seriously, like, they know, right? It's personal reasons and it's a road game. I assume that means he's not with the team? Or is it if he's maybe ready to leave for something? I don't know. It's just kind of odd. Who knows? But and New York never tells us. They just don't tell us. They just give you game time and like a half hour beforehand, they give you the lineup. But maybe save a spot. Maybe save a spot for McBride. And he's like a guy that can get there in theory either way. Obviously it's a much tougher path. But I might save a spot for him and just hope that we see Hart. Midday downgrade, personal. Like, I don't want to speculate, but to me that feels like he probably doesn't play. Like, he plays through injuries, but they're saying it's personal. So I don't know. Chop, how you handling this?
This game in general is a there's some good individual pieces here because of that revenge. I'm a sucker for a good revenge narrative, but I don't know. It's going to be tough, man. Karl Anthony Towns is priced to the gills, right? 10-2, and he deserves to be. But
yeah,
I think Jalen Brunson is a good play at this price tag. Somebody made a very good point. You leave that extra 100 on the table for Kyrie, and if Kyrie is out, you have an easy pivot to Jalen Brunson in the late games. I think Julius is going to really stick it to his old teammate. I don't know if DiVincenzo is, because he doesn't get enough opportunity. Of course, he wants to.
He's going to try.
Randall does get the opportunity and has the motivation. So I definitely like that aspect of it. There's some good pieces here. I don't know how many is going to end up on my roster, but there's definitely, and I think there's a good path here for you if you're into that kind of thing. You can game stack this thing, 3 or 4 pieces from this game.
I think I'm going to save a spot for McBride. I think we're going to do that. We'll see. Have not made my lineups just yet. There's a chance he starts and plays like 35 minutes or so. Right now, like, he's fine-ish, right? At like a 17-point projection. That's not what I want. But I think there's potential upside if we happen to lose Hart. Your thoughts, Kirkwood?
I don't in this game. I don't see it. I don't see him going off in this game. I get it; he's cheap and minutes play and all of that, but I would just stick with. Randall is going to hog the ball tonight, and so it's in his hands to go off. Cat is going to be doing the same damn thing, and then those are the 2 that I would want.
So even if you knew that Hart was out, you wouldn't be interested in McBride?
You think it break? You think it like It's like if it was Brunson, I would be much more inclined.
Yeah. Well, do you not think he would start?
I just don't think he's going to do much.
Okay.
In this matchup, personally, I don't know if it's worth saving a spot for.
We got crunch time and knocking on the door coming in here in just a second. Before we do that, I got to get the old slate breakers. Chop, who's breaking the slate?
Big slate, Dean. Lots of options. Lots to go to. I'm going to say that's a tough one, Dean. I got my guys picked out. Yeah, I got to do that. I got to pull the trigger on him. Triple J. Got to pull the trigger on him. I think it's just a matchup he can take advantage of. I think so. I can just picture him all night with his little stupid turnaround one-legged jumper. I got him. Triple J.
Javier saying LaMelo in chat. Like, he's got a chance. I'm just a little bit concerned about his minutes. Update on Şengün is no update. Game time decision. Thanks for nothing, Houston. Yeah, I think there's a chance he breaks the slate, to be honest. I love Şengün if he plays. If not, I love Amen Thompson. And you talked about, and they're talking in chat. If you're joining us late, yeah, Scotty Barnes on FanDuel, play 100%, not even a conversation. Kirkwood, who's breaking the slate for you?
I mean, it's always Wemby, but that's too easy, right?
That's who my answer was going to be, so maybe it's too easy for me too. And Cade's too easy.
Yeah. I think you're going to need Miles Bridges. I think if I was going to go out there on a limb on somebody, it would be Kevin Durant.
All right, let's seamlessly segue. Let's bring in crunch time right now. We got Kyle Murray. We have the Taylors, Taylor Smith, Taylor J. Zwarych, one of the greatest DFS players in all Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, despite the fact that Chop doesn't like him. Chop, did you want to say?
What? Where did you get? You're putting words? You're just fabricating this.
So many words?
No, what Chop said is that there's a lot of people, DFS players, who don't like him.
He said people are saying. The old people are saying.
No. People don't like DFS players. Don't. But then you asked me why, and I had to clarify. Because he wins so much, he keeps them from winning.
Backtrack.
So you have conversations. Where did you pick this up from?
Gosh, Dean. Incredible.
TJ, you heard it. He knows. TJ knows it. He circled Chop on the list.
No. Chop and I are good. He's just protecting me from the multitudes of people that hate me out there in the industry.
Everybody hates TJ. Yeah, I don't want to. I've gotten some texts. I don't want to name names, TJ, but people are talking. Chop, he's not far off. Hey, is Kyrie playing tonight? Kyrie's playing. That's the list I was thinking of. Thank you. That's the gift from the Sandler movie. Well played, producer Steve.
I think with the current events that are happening in the world, this is not an appropriate topic, Dean.
Yeah, well, didn't you bring it up? Kind of, sort of. Fair point, though, Chop. All right, we're getting out of here. Yes, on that. George Costanza would not be proud. We're not leaving on a high note, but I think we got to step aside and get out of here and make way for crunch time. Do hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. Do all those things. But
Football show tonight.
What was that, Chop?
Football show tonight. Please tune in and ask questions.
7-ish, 7:15. What time?
7:15.
All right, 7:15. You guys will be talking about the Denver Broncos and the Chargers of Los Angeles, I believe. Kirkwood, myself, Chop, we appreciate y'all watching. And TJ, take it away.
Like Chop said, he and I will be back for NFL pre-walk at 7:15 Eastern time. But now it is crunch time, and we are talking some NBA. It is myself. It is Taylor Smith. It is Kyle Murray. We got a nice little crew, and we're going to make some money tonight. 11 games on DK, 13 games on FanDuel. Two guys who do core plays and projections. We're locked in. We're ready to go. Taylor, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. I thought it's all day long. I felt like it's been Friday, and it's very weird to me that it's not. I don't know why it feels so Friday, but it should be fun. It's a pretty insane slate tonight.
Yeah, I don't know what days are what anymore. I'm just shows every day, ready to playing DFS every day. There's no always at home, never leaving because it's -30 outside. And so there's nothing to differentiate any of the days right now. Kyle, how about you? How you doing? How do you feel about this slate?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Like you mentioned, it's the days are kind of blending together. That's NBA season for me, honestly. But the slate should be crazy. Obviously, little fun FanDuel slate with Scotty Barnes coming in at 3,500. Should be a fun point of conversation there. But yeah, should be a good slate.
All right, well, let's dive into it. We got a lot of games, so we might as well start with position by position already. We're still waiting on some more news. We did just get Ja Morant ruled in, but starting on FanDuel, the elephant in the room is that Scotty Barnes has been ruled in, and he is $3,500 on FanDuel. Obviously, you lock him in a cash game in a single entry, but I think probably even if you're playing 150 lineups, you probably just want to hit the lock button there and let somebody else pay the rake. Kyle, what are you doing with Scotty Barnes today? And give me an overview on the news we're still waiting for.
Yeah, like you mentioned with the ownership there, FanDuel's been known to do this a couple times when they just aren't quick enough to update their database with injured guys. Surprised that he wasn't even out for that long, so it's kind of surprising that they plummeted him like that. I think you just lock him in. We were talking about his ownership in Slack coming in at above 80%. I think that's still too low. I think he should come in above 90% in almost every contest. I mean, if you're doing 150 lineups and you wanted to sprinkle in a couple that might have a lottery ticket there, but for the most part, in lineup HQ, we have him as 99.94% chance to make the optimal. So I think that kind of paints the picture there for what we should be doing with Scotty Barnes, at least in lineups that we're looking to build constructively there. So in terms of news that we're waiting on, we just got Ja Morant in. Şengün is a big questionable tag that we are still waiting on. We just got word that he's going to be game time decision. Brandon Miller, we just got that he was ruled out. The Boston guys, Sam Hauser is out. Porzingis in, Tillman out. So all those projections are updated currently with that news. And then a couple other names that we're waiting on. LeBron is questionable later on. DeAndre Ayton still questionable with an illness. I think those are pretty much the big names. And then obviously Kyrie Irving, Luka's out. So that's even a larger talking point there. Questionable with that shoulder injury.
Yeah, I think if I were playing 150 lineups today on FanDuel, I probably set the optimizer to up here to 147 or 148. Lock button Scotty Barnes, play him in all of them, and then maybe build two lineups hand-built that are essentially whatever the optimizer is, but somebody else like X out Scotty Barnes and then hit the optimizer for two lineups, see what it gives you, just so you never know if you late scratches or something crazy happens. You got those two lineups in there that maybe has a huge advantage on the field. Let's start at the point guard position. Taylor, I'll go to you first here. Point guard, who are you playing in cash? And then who are your tournament pivots?
Yeah, I think in cash, you're definitely playing Cade. No Jaden Ivey for the Pistons. Amazing matchup against Utah. It's one of the first games of the night, but he might be the best play on the entire slate. So in cash, you're definitely playing him. I'm playing him a ton in tournaments also. Just don't see any reason not to. Kyrie, probably your other one in cash. You can play him at shooting guard, so not a must at point guard, but no Luka. I think he's going to play against the Clippers. Not a great matchup, but just over the last couple of years gets a huge bump in usage without Luka. Otherwise, I think you're probably saving. You can play Jordan Poole. I just don't love Jordan Poole into ownership, but the game against Charlotte looks pretty good for them. Pretty tight spread, which is rare for the Wizards, so I think it's okay. Otherwise, you're probably saving. Like Ben Simmons is fine. They traded Schroeder the other day. He's point guard power forward, which is pretty unique. I think that's a decent play against Toronto. Jamal Shed maybe with Davion and RJ Barrett out as a punt in a tournament. Clarkson is point guard eligible on FanDuel is fine. Jamal Murray, if you want to play one of the later games, looks decent enough. It's not really an amazing position, even though it's a massive slate. I think Cade and Kyrie are pretty easily the best plays at point guard. You're muted.
Foolish. Dang. I was so disappointed in myself there. We move on. Kyle, what are you doing specifically with Kyrie? And if he's going to be out, because he's still questionable for this one, how are you handling the guard position with Grimes and Dinwiddie on FanDuel?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the first part of the question with Kyrie, there are some pivots around that lock time for games in general. You can pivot to. I know the guys on GrindersLive are talking about Jalen Brunson as a pivot. I think that makes some sense there as well. Not necessarily as direct in price on FanDuel because he's a little bit more expensive, but again, just save that $300. You can easily make that pivot there, or even save $800 and have De'Aaron Fox as well. So there's a couple of guys that you can definitely leave salary on the table for in hopes that you just have that backup plan there. But in terms of the other Dallas guys, Dinwiddie, I think is already a play that's in play. Maybe again, FanDuel's difficult because you don't necessarily need to play any fringe value plays because you have Scotty Barnes, but he is a guy that's going to be very low owned, 4.2 on FanDuel. We have him for about 25 minutes tonight, and then obviously if Kyrie's ruled out, he definitely has upside to probably play 32 plus minutes tonight. So I would say Dinwiddie is a guy who I probably only like right now if Kyrie's out, just because again on FanDuel you do have that solid value piece with Scotty Barnes, so you don't really need to play too many fringe value guys, but definitely in play as of now. So even if you just liked him on his own for value purposes, you can still make pivots for him later on if Kyrie's out.
All right, taking to the shooting guard position.
Yeah, so some of these guys do carry over. Obviously, Kyrie is also shooting guard eligible. He is probably the top play as of right now at the position. And again, if you're looking for potential pivots, just that shooting guard alone, it's a little bit more difficult because you have more options at point guard. But there are a couple names that still stand out. Jamal Murray is there in that price range, so he can potentially be a value, a pivot option. It's probably the main one that sticks out. He plays in the 10 o'clock game, so that's a pretty natural pivot there. In terms of other guys that pop out and down the price range a little bit, Keontae George is a guy who I like. Quentin Grimes, 3,900. You were talking about him a little bit ago. We have him for 28 minutes currently with no Kyrie, or with Kyrie in, sorry, and with no Luka. So he's already in play. I think you can definitely make a case for him one way or the other. Use him and Barnes as two value guys and spend him at other places. And obviously he only improves if Kyrie's out. A couple other names that stick out in the mid-range, Norm Powell, Desmond Bane, Trey Murphy. These are guys that all project pretty well and look pretty good in the RG value ranking as well. And then Chop has Jalen Green tagged, like that call there as well, 6,500. I think again, very scoring dependent, but he definitely has the upside to go and score 30 plus points any given night. So at 6,500, I like this value there.
All right, Taylor, how about you? Who do you like at shooting guard?
Yeah, some of the Toronto stuff looks pretty good. Jacoby Walters, 3.9, could start with RJ out and Davion out. Not a great per minute guy, but he's super cheap. I think that's fine. Agbaji, also shooting guard only, a little more expensive, but pretty safe minutes for him. I'd rather play Walter, but I think Walter might be quite a bit more popular also. The Mavs guys, Grimes and Clay look pretty good. Keon Johnson is another cheap option for Brooklyn without Schroeder for them, and a bunch of other injuries on the wing that the Nets have. I think Edwards and Jaylen Brown are fine if you want to spend a little bit. Not amazing matchups for either of them. I mean, the Jaylen Brown has a great matchup, but they could just smash Chicago and not see a full allotment of minutes. Edwards, just kind of a ceiling-ish type of play every single night. Decent price on FanDuel. Otherwise, I think you're just kind of taking shots on like Clarkson, Koulibaly, Jamal Murray, Shaedon Sharpe, Dylan Brooks. If the Rockets have a couple of those guys out, looks a little bit better as well.
All right, take me to small forward.
So Scotty Barnes, obviously. Otherwise, it's kind of a crapshoot. You can play Klay Thompson here. I think KD is a pretty interesting spend against the Indiana Pacers. Kuminga still starting for Golden State. Looks like a decent value at 6.2. Herb Jones, more of a FanDuel-y play at 5.3. I think he's okay. Not psyched about Cam Johnson, but he's cheaper on FanDuel than he is on DK. Should see a bunch of usage for them with the Schroeder trade and all that. Tari Eason looks like a better play on DK, but he does have a questionable tag. I'm a little bit nervous about that, but in a tournament, I think it's fine. And then LeBron at 9.3, questionable. Probably not going to be very popular even if he's in. I think that's cheap enough to get to him a little bit.
All right, Kyle, how about you? Who do you like at small forward?
Yeah, obviously, probably locking Scotty Barnes. Actually, some of these numbers in lineup HQ are funny. Seeing a 25.5 RG value, 99.9 optimal percentage, 97% smash rate, 13 point per dollar rating. So those are some funny numbers and just kind of goes to show, how much of a lock he is here. And again, the only real reason you wouldn't be playing him is, hoping to hit, the lottery with him, not finishing the game or something like that. But again, you're just playing him there. A couple other guys that stick out, Cam Johnson, 3,400, Jonathan Kuminga at 6,200. Some other guys that, mentioned at the shooting guard position as well, Powell, Desmond Bane, like those guys a little bit as well. But I think a lot of the small forward plays are, obviously you're locking in Scotty Barnes. I prefer to play him at small forward. Like Taylor said, the position's pretty weak. And then I think one of these mid-range guys or just spending up here at small forward.
All right, take me to power forward.
Yeah, so again, you can play Scotty Barnes here, but like I said, I would prefer to play him at small forward. Just kind of opens up some things a little bit. Cam Johnson, you can also play at power forward. Kuminga, who I already mentioned at small forward, you can play here. Wemby, 11.3. The price is up, but again, on FanDuel, and when you kind of are looking at somebody, you're thinking that, they might be a little bit too expensive. They're really not today because you have all this value opened up on an elite play. Like you're basically getting an 8.5K, 8K player for free. So if you're thinking that anybody might be a little bit too expensive and they're low owned, I think they're automatically an even better play on FanDuel just because, you look at Wemby, 6.5% projected ownership is where we have him right now. So I like him quite a bit, 11.3. Jason Tatum, same deal. Taylor mentioned the game environment. Obviously, it's a great matchup, but you do have to wonder, how long is that going to last for him being on the floor. But in general, again, you can definitely spend up a little bit, and even if he doesn't quite hit the salary, he definitely has the ceiling and the upside at the price to get there. And then Jaren Jackson, 8K. Like him not as much now with John Morant ruled in, but still think he's in play here at 8K. And then Miles Bridges as well, 6'8". Good matchup here against Washington. Tight spread. I think it's a 4-point spread, and no Brandon Miller. So we should see, maybe a little bit of minutes increase here for Bridges, and then obviously some more usage for him with Miller out.
Taylor, who do you like at power forward? And obviously in tournaments, it depends on your lineup, but for cash, do you prefer Barnes at power forward or small forward?
I think small forward was the right call. I think power forward has a few more likable options in the expensive or like upper mid-range. Wemby obviously stands out above the rest. I think he looks awesome on this slate. Decent matchup against Atlanta, 11-3. The FanDuel scoring helps him and all that. Like him quite a bit. I think Julius Randle in that revenge game against the Knicks has been underpriced on FanDuel a little bit the last few days. 7,100 looks pretty good for him. I don't mind KD. I don't mind John Collins against Detroit. Missing some size tonight. Good matchup for him. I think Goga is interesting on FanDuel because you can play him at power forward. That game is maybe the worst on the slate, but he's kind of the only guy in that game on my radar. I think he's a decent play. Gets more usage without Paolo and Franz Wagner in there. And then PJ Washington, like we're going to play the cheap Mavs, but PJ is not really garnering a lot of ownership. And he kind of smashed earlier in the season when Luka was out. I think if you're looking to leverage some of the cheap Mavs, playing PJ at a more expensive price tag makes sense.
All right, take me to the center position.
So, yeah, you can play Wemby here, of course. You can play Jaren Jackson. Jalen Duren and Nick Claxton are a couple of sub-6K centers I like quite a bit. Clint Capella, also sub-6K without a Kongwu. I didn't mention Larry Nance at power forward. I think he's an okay value. There's a lot of risk with the minutes. There's really no telling what he's going to play, but I assume he'll be in the rotation. Probably playing with power forward because you can, but I think it's viable. Worth keeping him in your player pool at least. And then Şengün, if he's in, just should nuke this matchup, I think, against the Pelicans, who have very little size up front. Assuming he's playing full minutes, I think Şengün's an awesome play.
Assuming that, we just got a bunch of Mavs news, or not Mavs. We just got some Warriors news here in terms of starters that they're going to start. Curry, Schroeder, Wiggins, Draymond, and an unknown fifth here. So Schroeder in his first game going to be in the starting lineup for them. And then we also got a minimum price on DraftKings, not sure his FanDuel price offhand, but Seth Curry in the starting lineup for Charlotte. Do you have any interest in Seth Curry, Kyle? And then who do you like at center?
No, not really. I mean, Charlotte's been running out these fake starters all year long. So even though he's starting, he could easily play 15, 16 minutes. So I don't think just because he's starting, he's automatically locked into some sort of role. Definitely not in play on FanDuel. I guess, maybe we'll see where we have him projected minutes wise, but I doubt it's going to be, any more than 20 to 22 minutes, I would say. So there's just better options, I would say.
All right. Who do you like at center?
Yeah, Şengün's in. Like him quite a bit here at the center spot, 8-7. I think it's a good price tag for him. Jokic, similar to Wemby. Again, the price seems quite high, but again, with how much salary we have opened up on FanDuel, not really too worried about that. Karl-Anthony Towns, I think, will be a little bit more popular than our models are showing, just because of the narrative. Obviously, the models aren't baking in people, looking at the revenge narrative here against Minnesota, but I do think that he's obviously going to be. I think even on his own merit, not even narrative being counted here, he's a good play. But with the additional narrative, I would say that we're probably looking at him playing a few extra minutes, and then probably seeing some more usage here as well, going back to Minnesota. So I think those three are my favorite spend ups. I would rank them: Şengün, Jokic, and then Towns, and then some guys below them who are benefiting from injury. Jalen Duren. Right now we have him projected for 28 minutes, but I do think he has upside to play more here. Obviously, the Pistons did bring back Paul Reed, but with Isaiah Stewart out, I do think he can easily play 30 to 32 plus minutes. Obviously, he has to stay out of foul trouble, which has been difficult for him all year long, but I do like Duren quite a bit. Clint Capella, same deal with the Kongwu out. He benefits there. Should be able to pick up a couple extra minutes. And then some other mid-range guys. Missy and then Nick Claxton are the other two, but I do prefer Duren and Capella there.
Steve making a great point in chat. We got only 68 likes, but 450 people watching on YouTube. All the sites combined were well over 1,000. We need you guys to smash that like button. YouTube, I'm going to take QQs from you, but if you want me to take more of them, I need you to get me up over 100 likes. As soon as you get me up over 100 likes, we'll take QQs from YouTube, and we will give our plays that will break the slate today. So smash that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, help us battle that YouTube algorithm. And it's also, while everyone's smashing the like button, it's a good time, if you haven't yet, to sign up for Splash Sports. Use promo code ROTO10. They have a big college football contest with 11 total games that is locking on Friday night. $50 entry to win $15K. I'm not a big college football guy. Kyle or Taylor, do you have any predictions of who's going to win the college football championship?
I think it's going to be, I think Oregon's obviously the favorite, and I think they're, rightfully the favorites there. For underdogs, I like Texas a little bit in the 5 seed, but I do think it's going to be definitely the closest playoff we've ever had. Obviously more teams, but should be a fun run.
Taylor?
I'll say Texas too. I just hope it's anyone but Ohio State. As long as that happens, I'm okay with it.
We're switching. While we do have some value, not as much as FanDuel, where we have Scotty Barnes at minimum price. And that's important stuff because DFS is all about value. It's the busiest time in the sports calendar, which means it's the perfect time to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium for a limited time. Get your first month of combo access for just $79.99. That's just $5 more than NBA Premium. So it's a great time to get it. If you want some NBA, you might as well get combo to get the end of the NFL, college, NHL, all that good stuff with it. And if you're playing NBA, you probably want access to some of the most advanced NBA data in the market with the shot quality projections for Lineup HQ. RotoGrinders.com/shot quality. You can get 1 month access for $40 or yearly for $200. Just want to give it a test run. Try it with a 3-day pass for $9.99. Dean mentioning in chat that no Malik Beasley starting for Detroit. We do have Ausar Thompson starting. I think that probably means Thompson is a guy that is like probably mid-20s minutes. We can feel comfortable about him now, even though if it's just going to be short spurts. But I also think we still like Malik Beasley, even though he's coming off the bench, because he's still going to be getting the minutes and he's going to be firing up a lot of shots off the bench. Wizards starting lineup: Poole, Carrington, Koulibaly, Champagny, and Sarr. So we got Champagny in the starting lineup there for the Washington Wizards. Who were we projecting there to have starting? It was the 5th starter to be Brogdon. So Brogdon is coming off the bench, and Carrington is starting for him. We did project Champagny. We did not project Carrington. So not a lot that switches up there for the Wizards. Even if you're not playing DFS, You just want to win some money on a little bit, something less time consuming. We got props and pick 'em. Get expert picks with all your favorite sites with props and pick 'em. Our elite sports betting and fantasy pick 'em package features bets and analysis from your favorite RotoGrinders expert. Props and pick 'em also includes tools and data powered by our hardworking projections team. Don't make a bet without it. I just gave you a good 5 clear minutes to smash the like button. Hopefully we have way more likes here now. We are easily up over 100. Good job, everybody. We'll get our slate breaking play as soon as we go through DraftKings position by position. Now we've named a lot of the names. We don't have to go quite as in depth as we did FanDuel, but Taylor, I'll start with you. Cash, point guard, who we playing?
I would play Cade, just like on FanDuel. Great matchup for them. Kyrie, obviously another one to consider. Ben Simmons is point guard only, but still viable. Good enough matchup against Toronto. Van Vliet would look a little bit better if Şengün's out, but I think he's fine either way amid his shooting issues. If you want to punt, I think Shed is fine. I think you can have a dusting of Lonzo Ball, in a large field set. Minutes have been up for him a little bit lately. I think that's okay. Nembhard, I'm not psyched about at some ownership, but he's cheap enough to where I think you can consider that too.
You know what's incredibly fun about being an MME player for basketball who just plays the mini max is I get to do these crazy things, and if I lose, I don't really care. Taylor, we've talked about this before on the show, and today my crazy thing in the point guard position, I have 40% Dante DiVincenzo at 3,800 in a revenge spot against New York. I think he wants to show Tibbs and co that was a bad idea to trade him. And so I'm rolling Dante DiVincenzo a ton in tournaments. Kyle, who do you like?
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, we saw DiVincenzo get more upset than just about anybody in that. Was that the preseason game still?
Yeah.
So that was quite funny. But yeah, for point guard over here, obviously you have Scotty Barnes, who's point guard eligible. I think he's in play on DraftKings at 9.3, which goes to show how funny the price is at 3,500. A couple other names that I don't know if I mentioned on the FanDuel side. Fred VanVleet, only 7K on DraftKings, so I like him quite a bit there. Jordan Poole, 7,300 with no Kyle Kuzma against Charlotte. Good spot for him there. And then lastly, LaMelo Ball. I do think there is something to be said about this unique situation where, it was 3 days since they played their last game. Obviously, he was limited from a minutes perspective. It's not very often you see, this sort of layoff for teams in the NBA, which we have for the in-season tournament. We haven't really got official word on any sort of minutes restriction for him. Obviously, we know
Kyrie Irving out.
Okay. That'll change up some things then. But just LaMelo Ball point, I wouldn't be surprised if he plays, 32 to 33 minutes. I don't think we're going to see him play 35 or 36 minutes. I do think that they're going to try to hold him back a little bit. But, he can definitely get there in 32 or 33 minutes in this matchup against Washington with no Brandon Miller. Obviously, with Mann being out still, that's another guy who was pulling in a lot of usage early on in the season. We haven't seen him for a while, but, it just goes to show how much usage is available for this Charlotte team. And LaMelo Ball could easily have a 40% usage rate in this one. So even though the price is up, he is competing with Cade Cunningham. I do think he's in play here.
Really wish that news would have come after lock. As it stood right now, I had 40% Dinwiddie, 40% Grimes, and 0% Kyrie. So I would have really, really loved that news coming after lock. Kyle, take me to the shooting guard position.
Yeah, obviously with Kyrie out, that's going to change some things here in terms of what we're looking at in lineup HQ right now. Dinwiddie is, I believe, point guard only on DraftKings, so can't play him at shooting guard. And then Quentin Grimes, you have shooting guard and small forward eligible on DraftKings 3,900. He's going to be probably the best value play on DraftKings now, I would say, at least at these two positions. So Grimes is definitely firmly in play. You mentioned the Malik Beasley news. Yes, we're going to drop him down in minutes, I would assume, but I don't really know if that changes a whole lot of what you've been expecting there from Malik Beasley. Last game he played over, I think it was 39, 40 minutes in that game with Thompson starting. Obviously, there was some weird news there with no Tobias Harris and no Jaden Ivey at lock pretty much. But I do think that Beasley still is upside to play 30-plus minutes in this one, so he projects well. And then some, guys that we've already mentioned, Bane, Poole, Powell. So, yeah, those are the guys who I like the most.
Taylor, I assume we're playing both Dinwiddie and Grimes in cash. We'll play maybe Grimes at the small forward, Cunningham and Dinwiddie at point guard and guard. But are you playing them both in cash on FanDuel now as well? And then who do you like at shooting guard on DK?
Yeah, I think Grimes was already someone I would have played in cash on FanDuel. I'm trying to find Dinwiddie. 4-2. Not a must, but he looks a lot better now. Obviously, no Kyrie, who was taking up one of your cash spots, probably. So, yeah, I'm probably playing Dinwiddie in cash on both sides. Definitely DraftKings. So, yeah, that's a pretty easy play. Grimes looks great either way. I think Beasley is still a great play. Like we've said, the minutes should be pretty safe for him regardless. I think Grady Dick is interesting with RJ Barrett and Quickly and Pirtle out. Scotty could be limited. Dick should see usage no matter what. He's been chucking like crazy anyway. 6K is kind of pricey for him, but that should kind of limit the ownership, I would think. Norm Powell still looks good if you're playing a bunch of Mavs. I think Powell's probably your best run back from the Clippers side. Not that it's a must. Amen Thompson would look a little bit better if Şengün or Tari are out. But even if they're in, guard forward, 5'6", I think he's okay. Derek White, maybe not super crazy about that. Levine gets a big bump without Giddey, but 7-5 against the Celtics, not the best play in the world, but in a large field set, I would probably keep him in the player pool. And then that's probably it. Pritchard, if you want to go crazy with potential garbage time, but he's a little bit expensive too.
All right, taking a small forward. We got just 8 minutes left to lock, so let's get through these positions pretty quick so we can save time for questions.
Yeah, so Asar Thompson, now that he's starting, looks a lot more safe. Grimes, Beasley, Amen Thompson, also playable here. Dylan Brooks, if Tari's out, looks better. Markkanen gets a really good matchup against the Pistons. He's a little bit cheap, hasn't been good, but I think there's some buy low potential with him.
All right, Kyle, who do you like small forward?
Yeah, like all the names that Taylor just mentioned, Grimes, Thompson, the two best value plays. Klay Thompson, I think, is in play now with no Kyrie Irving. We have him for 32 minutes in the updated projections. I don't really think he has the highest of ceilings in his current status, but still definitely in play. Maybe you can get hot from three, and obviously that would be beneficial with the DraftKings scoring. Again, I'll mention Scotty Barnes. You can play him at small forward and point guard on DraftKings. I like him quite a bit tonight. He's going to be, single-digit ownership on DraftKings. And similar to LaMelo Ball, there's been a long layoff for Toronto. So while, you would expect that they're still going to try to limit Scotty Barnes here in terms of his minutes, or at least hold him back a little bit, I do think that there's upside that he just plays a bunch of minutes with all these guys out. They kind of just need him to. So, I do like Scotty Barnes quite a bit tonight.
All right, take me to power forward. And how has the projection update impacted PJ Washington? A lot of people asking about him in chat now.
Yeah, he's looking pretty good. Obviously, he's a guy that's going to benefit. It was already hard to get him more minutes because we already had him in the mid-30s. So 34, 35 minutes, I think, is a pretty good projection for him. Right now, he's the second best RG value power forward on the slate. So obviously, a great mid-range option there. Asar Thompson right there as the top RG value player at power forward. So like him quite a bit at either position. Jason Tatum's a guy you can spend up for. He looks pretty good. Jalen Johnson, I don't know if we've mentioned, at least I haven't mentioned today. He's a guy that could benefit from Okongwu being out because they might just use him as the backup five and kind of run him, stagger him with Capella, get him some minutes at the five. And obviously Jalen Johnson has massive rebounding upside in general, and that would only improve that. Miles Bridges I also like quite a bit. I would say those are probably my top plays right now, power forward.
Taylor, who do you like power forward?
Miles Bridges I like quite a bit with no Brandon Miller. Asar Thompson, like we talked about, PJ, I was already interested in. Looks a lot better now. John Collins, Lauri Markkanen, DeAndre Hunter, maybe okay as a cheapie. And then Mobo without Pirtle. Kind of burned everyone the other night, but it's going to be way less owned than he was on that slate. I think he's a pretty good cheapie as well.
All right, take me to the center position. My favorite spot here, I think it's one of the best on the slate, is to just play one of the Atlanta centers, either Clint Capella or all the way down in a punt to Larry Nance. What are you doing at center?
Yeah, I have more Capella as of now. Just kind of there's value elsewhere. So Nance looks a little bit better earlier in the day. So I'm kind of paying up here. Şengün, Wemby. I love Towns on this slate. Going to be a little under-owned, I think. Goga, John Collins, you can play at center. And then Yves Missi, I have a little bit of. I had to cap him because I was getting way too much. But I think he's also a pretty good Capella pivot.
Kyle, who do you like at center?
Yeah, good calls there. I like Wemby quite a bit. He's probably one of my favorite spend ups. Like him at 10-7 there. Jalen Duren, like I mentioned on the FanDuel side, 5.5. I think he benefits, more than I think a lot of people are giving him credit for with Stewart out. Obviously, if he's able to stay out of foul trouble, Clint Capella, Missy, guys that we've already mentioned. I guess the one tournament play that I'll throw out there, I think it's very difficult to project his minutes tonight, is Zach Edey. He started the second half last game and played 24 minutes. Very easy for the Grizzlies to just, match up with the Warriors and play small in this one. So I wouldn't be surprised if he loses out on minutes. But if he is able to play 24 minutes again, I do think it's a good matchup for him. He'll obviously be the biggest guy on the floor at all times. So 4-3, I don't mind him here.
Pick one for cash, each of you, with Capella. Oh, shoot. I was still looking at the screen there. I missed two of the other guys in that same. Capella, Duren, and Misi. Who are you guys playing in DraftKings cash?
Man,
Capella probably.
Yeah, I do like Duren more, but for cash, I think Capella's the safer guy.
Yeah.
All right, we got 5 minutes to lock. We'll take some questions, but before that, give me a player who is going to break the slate, Taylor.
I will take Alperon Şengün.
Kyle, who do you got?
Yeah, I like that call. I'm going to go with LaMelo Ball. Obviously, there's a lot of risk in playing him just because he's directly competing with Cade Cunningham. But again, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he plays 32 to 34 minutes on a game that goes perfectly his way. And then obviously with all the guys out, he shouldn't see a ton of usage. And he's projected for 10% ownership right now.
All right, well, I'm going to go with another guy who is competing at that spot and say Trae Young is the guy that breaks the slate today. Going to the RotoGrinders live stream Discord first, then I'm hitting the YouTube chat. DKGPP, Kyle, Norm Powell or Lauri Markkanen?
I'll take Markkanen there.
All right. What do you think of Mo Wagner today, Kyle?
He's a risk reward type play. Again, one of those guys whose minutes can easily change any given day with the rotation there with the Magic. But he's a good permanent guy. So if he's able to play 21 to 23 minutes, solid option.
FanDuel cash, Taylor, Beasley or Thompson? Which Detroit player do you want?
Probably lean Thompson now that he's starting.
If you play Ball and Bridges together, do you have to play Jordan Poole as a run back, Kyle?
I don't think you have to, but I don't think Poole's a bad play. So you definitely can, but you definitely don't have to.
We got 2.5 minutes left to lock. Get your lineups in, get your questions in, go get a quick drink, and then get your butt back here for the NFL show with myself and Chop starting at 7:15 Eastern time, 15 minutes after the conclusion of this show. And we'll be talking Chargers and Broncos. What do you think about Domantas Sabonis in tournaments, Taylor, on FanDuel?
Yeah, I don't mind that. I assume he's going to be completely unowned, so I'm always fine with a guy like that.
Mark Williams at 5,100. No, I don't think we're going any Mark Williams today. Kelly Olynyk tonight, DKGPP. No, we're not doing that either. We got a lot of great value on this slate. I don't think we want to be messing around too much with guys who are probably only going to play low 20s in minutes. We know we're not going to get too much from Kelly Olynyk. They're slowly ramping him up. I could easily see him being a guy that ends up getting traded at the trade deadline. And Mark Williams, I don't think he's played more than 20 minutes since his return. So he's not somebody that we're looking to go to. That is it for questions. Oh, no, I'm not back in the Discord. Which white is in play today for a DKGPP, Kyle? Kobe or Derek?
I think they're both in play. I think I would slightly prefer Derek, and just kind of hope that game stays close. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree there. 1 minute left to lock. That is it for QQs. Smash that like button, everybody. Get your lineups in and then get your butt back here for some NFL content. We thank you all for joining us for this one. Good luck tonight in NBA. Good luck tonight in NFL. Hey, if you're playing some NHL, good luck in that too. Hopefully, you didn't think it was Friday like Taylor, and you still got one more day before the weekend, but hopefully we got some good Thursday content to keep you happy right up until the weekend. Thanks for joining, everyone. On behalf of myself, Kyle, Taylor, Steve behind the scenes, we'll see you next time. You have been crunched.